This is the Super Sports Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranchers.
1, 2, 3, go!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Super Sports Schools podcast, brought to you by Spur every Sunday at 6 here on Super Sports Schools channel 216 or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Alex White. At the end of last year, we had the class of 2023 where we celebrated hundreds of the top athletes from around the country and set aside a top 30, some of the top performing stars in all sorts of sports. And one of those was Prestige College's Tumi Ramokgopa, jumping away into our class of 2023 as a sensational hurdler and currently under 18 record holder for 400 meters. Tumi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Alex. I really do appreciate it.
Now, at the end of last year, a lot of my time was sort of taken up by the class of 2023, putting the show together, writing, researching, finding out, and your name came up very early on because we saw what you had done. Under 18 ASA champs, winning the 100 meter and the 400 meter hurdles, doing the same thing at the African champs, winning a bronze medal at the Youth Commonwealth Games, and now under 18 record as well, and you're only 16. So I want to find out, where did this all start? When did you decide that hurdling was going to be the thing for you? I mean, did you start in athletics and then why? First athletics, and then why hurdles? Because I think it's interesting with athletics that there's so many disciplines, how people settle on the right one for them.
Firstly, it started at a young age. You know, I was a very active child that just kept running. Whenever I would just run. And then went to primary and I was introduced to different disciplines. And I mostly did all of them, except for hurdles because I was too young at that age. And I did everything except for throwing events. You know, me and throwing aren't friends.
So like discus, javelin, shot
no.
puts, no.
So I did every discipline, exclude throwing. And then, you know, I was good. I was okay. I wasn't bad. And then came 2016, got influenced by my brother's training, whereas he was also a hurdler. They were doing a hurdle session at school. So I'm like, let me try. No, what if I'm not that bad? And I did. And then I was shabby, obviously, but then the coaches, he saw something in me, you know, and I'm like, let me just see where they would get me. I started training hurdles at a young age, you know, a year before I had to. And I was in grade 3. I trained for hurdles, and in grade 4, that's where I started competing. Win or lose, sometimes here and there. And then we went to nationals and I won. And I'm like, okay, that's something I want to do. That's something I'm going to specialize in. So it started there. You know, the love of hurdles started there and I outgrew out of it, you know. Grade 5 did the same thing. Grade 6 won again. Grade 7 won again. Until now.
Just if you keep winning, then it's going to keep you in the sport. So I think that's a good way to do it. Now, still in school, obviously, Prestige College, having to balance being a top performing athlete in the country, trying to break these records, going after all these great goals, also still in school. So what does a normal week of training look like?
I can have 3 hard sessions and then the other days and 3 recovery days. That's how it is. And sometimes I do know when the hard sessions are, sometimes I don't. As I said, I live by surprises every day. So, you know, whenever I go there, I go with the mentality of doing a session. I can get there and I won't do it. And now I have to come back tomorrow again with the same energy. It's a lot, but I balance it well.
And the coach that you have at the moment who helps you, is that someone you've been working with for a while? And how did you happen to come together and have this relationship? Because I always know with schools, it's difficult with athletics being such a broad sport with all these disciplines, to have specific coaches for each one is sometimes challenging.
Well, we met the first year I went to Prestige College, which was in 2021. And then Firstly, I was with Coach Neil because I was also in the long jump for quite some time. And then after that, I went to Coach George, which is my recent coach. And then that's where the relationship started. I continued with him until where I am. And each and every year, we get closer, way closer. I mean, now I take him as a second father. He knows me so well, even when I'm lying. If I'm not tired, you can see that. Nah,
He
this
knows.
one is lying. That's how it started, and it's great actually because even though he's not a hurdles coach, but he learned a bit about hurdles then there because of me, and that's something nice to see that he is outdoing himself. He's doing something he's not used to doing, just so that he can help me perform.
Well, it's clearly working.
Yes,
I'm
it
going to
is
say it now.
working.
It's working. So in a normal week, how many hurdles are you actually going over? Because I know you do 100 and 400. In the 400, there are 10 hurdles there. But in a week, when you're training, how many hurdles?
Well, if it's like months before a meet, I don't go through any hurdles at all.
None.
Nothing.
The week or two before?
I go through maybe 2 or 3.
Okay, so you actually don't even worry about the hurdles until the day. Is that just now sort of muscle memory? You get to a hurdle, you know what's going to happen, the rhythm just flows.
Yes, and if I do go over a hurdle, it's just to, get the technique back and remember that when you go over a hurdle, you have to do this, you have to do that. But it's something I still have in mind. I'll never forget it.
So in a normal week of training, is it a bit more speed, endurance,
Yes.
that sort of thing that you're doing? Okay, and with your coach coming as a sort of longer distance coach originally, I think then you have a good base for that.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about the technique, because the extent of my school hurdling experience in grade 8, we all had to take part in inter-house athletics. And so I signed up for the hurdles because I thought this would be exciting, this would be cool. And now in grade 8, I ended school in matric sort of as one of the taller guys in the grade, but in grade 8 I was sort of average. So the hurdles were not super easy to get over, but I think I came second in my heat, and I don't think I knocked over any hurdles, so that was an accomplishment. But if you had to see the technique, I'm sure you'd be horrified. It was sort of, you run up to the hurdle and then just kind of hop over, and which leg goes first, I don't know, because I'm running, and then suddenly there's a hurdle and you have to make sure your timing's right. Some of the guys just ran through all of them, just knocked all of them over, which the crowd really enjoyed. But when you actually are running, are you thinking about which leg's going to go over? Does it just happen? Is it always the same leg? How does that work?
Well, with the 100 meters, it's just one leg,
Okay.
which is my right, the trail leg. So I just go over it with the same leg until the end. Now with the 400, that's where you just have to allow whichever leg to go over because
Whichever one's theirs is going.
like it just has to, because you can start off strong and go off with the trail leg, and then come the next hurdle you go over with the other leg, and it might be confusing, but once you get the rhythm right, you're gonna get used to it. Once a hurdle is there, whichever leg goes, it goes. So it's something I got used to not a while ago.
Do you know how high the hurdles are for you?
76
Centimeters.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the same for 400, 100.
Yes.
And it will be that height from now on?
For 400 years, and then for 100, it's only changing next year to 84, and then it stays like that.
Okay, so 100 and 400 at the top level are actually different heights?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. 100 a bit higher.
Yes.
Okay. And then I just want to clarify, so what did you call your leading leg?
My trail leg.
Okay, cool. Just so we have that officially there. And is that in the discipline, is that what it's typically called? Or?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And would it be your stronger leg is the one you lead with?
Yes.
Okay. So in the 400, would you prefer it if everyone was your right leg? Yeah. Okay.
But if I could, I would, but I can't.
Yeah. And do other athletes, maybe at the top level, anyone that you've looked up to in the 400 meter, maybe, do they go with the same leg all the time? Or is it also
It's also different.
Okay, so just with the rhythm and everything, it's not possible to.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. I like learning about all the little intricate bits. And another one then that I must ask you, the 400 is obviously 4 times as long as 100, but it's a lot longer. There's a bit more time to think there, strategize, breathe a bit, because the 100's just quick. I want to ask, For your personal best for the 100 meter, what is it?
For the 100?
Yes.
13.26.
Okay, so quicker than I've ever run 100 without hurdles, and I did a little bit of athletics at school. So that was probably me in under 18. I probably maybe did 14 seconds if I'm lying to myself. And you're 16, and you have hurdles. Yeah, so it's just incredible. 100 meters shorter, like I'm saying. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there because it's just so impressive. 100 meters, much shorter, 400 meter long, bit more time to think, breathe, etc. But obviously, you have lanes.
Yes.
So I'm sure you have a preference.
I do.
And I'm sure you don't want to be much further than maybe 5. So talk to me, the times you have been in 6, 7, 8, there are 8 lanes?
Yes.
Yeah, 6, 7 or 8. What's that been like?
Yeah. I remember last year, the Grand Prix, the 2 Grand Prix races I went to, both of them I was in lane 8. Yo, it felt like I was running, like, I have this mentality, what if you fall off? Because you're outside.
You fall off the track.
So I'm like, okay, but no.
It's not like it's 50 meters in the air, or is there sometimes a little gutter or something on the side?
Like, it's different. Sometimes there's like a rail there on the side. And like, sometimes it seems like it's too close to the track. I'm like, what if I bump it when I'm like, oh, but okay, it's fine. I'm like, okay, lane 8.
And if you're in 8, you start so far ahead of everybody else.
And like, if you don't know athletics and you're there, it'll feel like you're winning.
You're winning, and then next minute
And
you
then
come
when
last.
you get to the home straight, you just see people in front of you. I'm like, what happened? How? When did we get here? But it's a humbling experience, I would lie. That will humble you to a point where you just say, you know what, next time I run, I won't be this confident, but sometimes I will. But it's.
So if you could choose a specific number,
5 and 6.
5 and 6, okay.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6. So somewhere in the middle there.
Yes.
So also 1 and 2, you start all the way at the back now.
Yeah. And like with 1 and 2, you see everyone, you see what everyone is doing, and that's sort of like pressure. And
So you prefer to be in the middle. You've got some idea, but you're focusing on your own race.
yes.
And your strategy, when you're going to push, all of that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So do you have a preference between 100 and 400?
Sometimes. Depends on how I feel. But when I'm tired, I like the 100.
Okay.
When I have a lot of energy, I like them both.
Okay.
But when I'm super energetic, I like the 400.
I think that makes sense.
Yes.
Especially with that 100 meters, sometimes, are you thinking about much during it? It's just go.
Like, if you want to think, if you won't finish, especially with the hurdles, you just think, okay, what am I doing? Okay, let me go over this one. But no, let me use this. But there's nothing to think about. Whatever leg goes, it goes. As long as if it makes sense and you're not stopping, you just go.
Okay. Well, we're going to play a game in a few moments, but just before we get to that, I wanted to ask you, other athletes, do they think the same as you with 100, 400? Do some just do 1? Is there a preference in general in the sort of hurdling community, or is it pretty...
Some people just do 1.
Yeah.
Some do both. Some focus on the long. Something... But it's more, honestly, on age. The more older you get, the more you have to only focus on 1. But for now, I enjoy doing both.
That's something I didn't even ask you about. So you do 100, 400. Are they longer distances for hurdles?
No.
No. Okay.
No?
So I'm just wondering. I mean, I would die doing 800 meters normally. I think 800 meters for runners is the worst event because it's a sprint
Of 2 laps.
of 2 laps of the track.
It's
So it's
something
worse than the
else.
400 because you still have to sprint. It's worse than the 1.5 because the 1.5 you can at least get into a rhythm. It's sort of middle distance. The 800 is just awful. So if there were hurdles, I don't know. I don't think anyone would want to do that. But we're talking about athletics. This year, probably the biggest event for athletics is the Olympics. It's happening in Paris. So we've been doing some games, been playing games with all the guests this year.
I'm not good at games, but okay.
So there's no time pressure for this one. The quiz at the end, there's time pressure. Here, it's just, well, obviously we won't let you just sit forever, but this game is called Is Olympic, Was Olympic, Never Olympic. I'm going to give you a sport, and you just have to tell me very simply if the sport is an Olympic sport, if it was an Olympic sport, so it was at some point, it isn't now, or if it's never been an Olympic sport. Is, was, never.
Okay.
And I know we spoke off air about painting. It's the example I always use. It was an Olympic sport. 1920 in Paris was an Olympic sport. It's not now, though. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not positive with this. I don't see myself winning. But
Our lowest score is 0. So out of 5. So there's the lowest bar. And the most is 3. I think maybe someone's got 4, but yes. Bridget Key, our operations manager at Super Sports Schools, she came on. She got 4. So that's the highest. But it's out of 5. Let's see how you do.
Give me 0 already, but okay.
Okay, your first sport is golf. Is,
Golf.
was, never.
I'm gonna go with golf. Wait. Is?
Yep, it is.
Oh, what a gift.
Yeah, well done. So a lot of people might think it's not because golf already has majors and these big events, but it happened in 1900, 1904. Then it didn't happen until 2016. And now it's obviously 2016, 2020, 2022, 2024. But yeah, there we go. 1 from 1.
Yeah.
Underwater hockey.
Underwater hockey? Is that a sport?
Yes. One boy in my school I know played it, and I think he made it quite to the high level in South Africa. It's also known as octopush.
Oh, you?
So there we go. But underwater hockey is, was, never. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with never.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
2 from 2.
Yeah,
They use these little sort of, I don't know, they're like hockey sticks, but really short ones, and they have a curve, and there's a puck on the bottom of the pool, and they swim underneath there and then hit it and then go up to breathe, and it's quite an interesting sport.
Tough. I wouldn't.
Next up, rope climbing.
Rope climbing.
Yep. So basically, there's a vertical rope
Climbing
that
rope.
was some set length, or is some set length, or has never been some set length. But rope climbing is an actual sport, so for it there is a rope of some set length, and you just have to get up it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. 3 from 3. 3 from 3. Okay, 2 more. Croquet, or croquet, depending on
that?
if you're American or British. It's like when they have the big hammer. They play it a lot. Old people play it a lot. You have the big hammer and you hit the ball through like a U-shaped hoop on grass.
I'm going with never.
It was.
It was.
It was, yep, 1900.
Yeah.
1900. So it's not really a hammer, it's a mallet, but yeah.
Well, it's weird sports, but okay.
3 from 4. So if you get this one, you can tie as the best ever that we've had on Is, Was, Never. It's a very popular sport at the moment. Paddle.
Paddle.
Is, was, never.
Yo, I don't know.
Is, was, never. What do you think?
It is?
No, never.
Yo.
Never,
What is
ever.
paddle? Like,
I promise you could walk from this studio here in Randburg right now for maybe 10 minutes and you'd find a paddle court. It's blown up all over South Africa and the world. It's basically a mixture of tennis and squash, although I think fans of both sports get offended if you say that, but it is a mixture of both. It's sort of with a big bat and it's surrounded by glass, the court. So the court is like a tennis court, you play it in doubles and you can hit it onto the back of the wall and there's a fence and yeah. Of all the racket sports, it's one you kind of can pick up quickest and is easiest to play. But yeah, never Olympic. So 3 from 5, which is certainly better than 0 and is better than most. So well done. That's a good performance. So I'm expecting big things from the quiz. Just no pressure now.
Bringing you the sport you care about the most, this is the Super Sports Schools Podcast.
15 delicious breakfasts, Spur is the place to be until 11 every morning. Enjoy an unreal breakfast for just $56.90. Spur, people with a taste for life.
Wake up now! Come on! Bringing you the sport you care about the most, this is the Super Sports Schools Podcast.
And let's actually talk a bit about pressure. Nice segue there to talk about some of the challenges that you face on this journey as you train, as you grow up knowing that you want to do this, you want to take hurdling further. I spoke earlier about the champs last year, the African champs, national champs, the Commonwealth Games. So you're competing all over the country. What are some of the challenges that you face that maybe you didn't think going into this you'd experience?
At Commonwealth, see there, I faced a lot of pressure because I had both my races in one day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So final for 100 and 400,
Yeah.
same day.
There wasn't heats, it was just straight final. So you don't know anyone, you don't know what anyone does and what's not. So the pressure was that.
No heats. So you haven't even, the first time you see the person, you're racing in the final.
Yep. So the pressure is that 2 hours apart. And now
Which one was first?
the 400 was first.
Would you have preferred it that way or the other way around?
The other way around.
Yeah.
It would be better. Now the pressure is that you run a race, you ran, we're done. I came third. And then you had to go
Just a
through,
bronze medal.
we had to wait for an interview. Each and every medalist did an interview. And that was cutting my time now because I was working on a schedule because I knew after my race, I go for a massage and some weird recovery I was doing. And then I started another warm-up again.
Some weird recovery.
I also didn't know. And then after that, interviews, and then you had to walk down to the tunnel and get your bags. When you get there, they want to take everyone to doping. And I'm like, I have a race. Can't I come back after my race? And it was like, I'm sure we spent 20 minutes in there.
Oh.
And then after that, after the doping procedure, I didn't even wait for anyone. I ran, I got the recovery, and it took like 10 minutes. And then I had to start a warm-up.
So you've just done your recovery, now you start the warm-up for the next
Should
one.
I tell you that I did a quarter of my warm-up? Because after that, they called us. Yeah. I was like, mind blown. Like, I'm under a lot of pressure and I'm wasting time. And you had to walk through another tunnel again where they're going to put you guys and you have to sit. I didn't warm up, the others did. And I asked, I'm like, can't I go out so that I can finish my warm-up? And he's like, no, you're going to run soon. And I'm running in 30 minutes. And I'm like, how? And you know what I did? Because we only had to go there with our spikes. I took off my spikes and I finished my warm-up barefoot. Luckily, it was a track inside. And I'm like, I have to make a plan. I got there to the track. After that, we had to wait 10 minutes. And I'm like, I could have just done something. Like, I was going to finish, and I knew I was going to finish. So that brought a lot of pressure, and that was something I saw. Sometimes when you win, you waste a lot of time to do something else. And I only had, I won't say 2 hours full, because the quota was like 30 minutes before. It's an hour 30. And then I had that 20 minutes.
Interviews,
it kept on
doping procedures, all
reducing
of that.
every time. That was a lot of pressure for me. And then also, SA Seniors. Last year, SA Seniors. That was just for the experience. But it was a lot of pressure because it was...
Reminding everyone that last year, running SA Seniors, you were only 16.
Raw. I was 15
You were
at the
15,
time.
actually. I was going to say, were you even 16 yet?
Yeah, and I was the shortest. Something else. I felt like, my whole world is falling. Like, I can't do this. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't want. Like, let's go back.
But do you think having those experiences at a younger age now means that when you start competing at higher age group, senior level, and keep competing at the highest level, you're now better prepared?
Yes.
And you'd rather go through that now than later on?
Yeah, actually, even this year at SA Seniors, I'm like, thank God I did SA Seniors last year, and I ran with them a lot of times because now I have a medal at seniors. You know, so I know how it is. I know the pressure, and I know what I should expect.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's good. I think it's nice that you've had that experience. Obviously, class of 2023 last year, you would have got the cards and got to see your face on it amongst 30 of our top athletes. Hopefully, we'll see you in class of 2024 again. I think quite likely under 18 record broken and continuing to do great things. Very quickly, before we get to my favorite part of the show, which is the quiz, your plans going forward into the next 12 months, the next 2 years even. And I know we've spoken before, not in the show, but we have spoken that you want to do sports psychology and spoken a bit about some of the challenges you've faced. And I think it's really cool that you want to do sports psychology. So if we talk about the next 2-3 years, what are some of the goals in there?
Well, national record for under 20 in the 400-meter hurdles. Obviously, aiming for a certain time in the 100-meter hurdles. I'm not going big yet. That I'll look into 2026. And then trying to qualify for World Seniors. And then after that, my main focus, I'm going to try and qualify for Olympics again the next 4 years.
Awesome. Cool. Now we can get into the fun part. You set the bar now that you did so well in the first game. And I'm just, no pressure, but actually a little bit of pressure. So the average score for this quiz, you get 60 seconds. As many questions correct as you can in those 60 seconds. If you don't know an answer, just say pass. Average score is about 4 or 5. Highest score we've had is 8. And yeah, so we'll see how you go. You ready to play?
Oh, I'm going to do so bad, but okay.
Remember, if you don't know, don't just sit there, look at me and say, just say pass. Because sometimes people will sit there, waste 10 seconds not knowing. Ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time starts now. True or false? On Super Sports Schools Plus, you can read news stories from school sports around the country.
True.
Correct. How many hurdles are on the track for a typical women's 100-meter?
10.
Correct. Which matric student was part of the South Africa's Olympic qualifying 4x100-meter men's relay team?
Bayanda Wallace.
Correct. If the Blitzboks were to win the Olympic sevens, how many gold medals would that earn South Africa?
Pass.
It's 1. Uganda recorded their first ever T20 World Cup victory this year, but who did they beat? Ireland or Papua New Guinea?
I don't know. Pass.
Papua New Guinea. Who is captaining South Africa at the T20 World Cup?
Pass.
Aiden Markram. Tshegofatso Mabasa recently became the first Bafana Bafana international from which rugby powerhouse school? Grey College or Paul Roos?
Pass.
Grey College. True or false? By medal count, athletics is South Africa's most successful Olympic sport.
True.
That's correct. In men's Grand Slams, the winner of a tennis match is the first to how many sets? 2 or 3?
2.
It's 3, so you got 4, which is right there, bang on the average. So you did better than the average for the last, the game.
Not shabby.
Was never, and then at least you've done okay for the quiz. So well done.
Thank you.
There were some tough ones in there with some obscure cricket nations, Uganda and Papua New Guinea. But yeah, well done. Just before I let you go, now that you've done the quiz, you've got the pressure out of the way, you are competing at the highest level beyond your age group at the moment for hurdles, which is incredible. And there will be lots of young people in athletics, in other sports, who look up to you and see you as a role model. And I know that's a lot to say, to put on you as a 16-year-old, and you'll have role models yourself. But any words of advice for anyone who has a sport that they love, that they want to take far like you have?
Always remember that dedication, commitment, and hard work can get you somewhere. But it's mostly progress over perfection. You can't put a lot of pressure on yourself because of how people are achieving. It is a mental thing. It's a psychophysical thing. The mentality you put in your mind is how your body will react. And if you believe in yourself, that's the first thing you should do. You should believe in yourself, and the rest will believe in you. You can become one of the best only if you train to be the best. And that's how it works.
Awesome. Tumi, thanks so much for joining us. All the best of luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to you at home for joining us here on the Super Sports Schools podcast. Their new episodes every Sunday at 6 on Channel 216, brought to you by Spur. But we're not the only exciting show that you can catch at 6 on Monday and Tuesday. We also have shows. Mondays, it's football on 216, so at 6. And then on Tuesdays, it's gameplay, all about esports. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday at 6 p.m., there's something for you there. But that's all from us here at the Super Sports Schools podcast for this week. I'm Alex White. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
This has been the Super Sports Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranches.
And now the podcast from Joy